Welcome, everyone. I appreciate everyone here. We're excited. We're going to have a wonderful talk by Clifford. He's ready. We're ready. I'm going to pass it on to you, okay?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for joining the talk. My name is Clifford, and I'm going to be presenting my talk titled "Growing with Django's Open Source Community." Uh, so before we start, a little bit about me. I've been contributing to Django since August 2024, and I've been on the triage and review team since mid 2025. So that was May 2025. I joined uh, te some 8 to 9 months after my first pull request was merged. And a bit of background, I'm not a software engineer by training, and this is my GitHub handle and my website and email. So I'm going to, so this talk is just is going to be, I'm going to share how I started contributing and how it led me to join the team. And I think the path that I took is a reproducible one. So anyone can do that. So I'm going to start with how I learned Django. So I'd learned Python in university, uh, and I learned Django a few months afterwards. It was during the pandemic, and I was looking for ways to use Python to solve more interesting problems and to move out of the command line, which is where we'd got up to in class. And I discovered Django and learned with the tutorials. I did the official tutorial, and pretty soon I was building hobby projects with Django, and I enjoyed it very much. But when the pandemic ended and we were no longer in lockdown, when I went back to school and I discovered I was spending some more time on Django than on my core studies. So I had to give it up because I considered it as a serious career option, but ultimately I gave it up because of the reasons as follows. The first was I'd learned alone and I didn't know anyone else who was doing Django development. So it was like I was traveling a path for which I had no map and I knew no fellow travelers. So it wasn't clear to me how I would ever reach a level of mastery where I could, make a career out of this. And also, I felt like there was no local demand in my local industry. And I also had a mistaken belief that about how software is built. I imagined that software engineers work more or less like novelists in that perfect their they do everything they have to do everything right and then publish their work, and afterwards I imagined there is n not much work for them to do. So I felt like the mountain the mountain that I had to climb to get to that first publish was like too steep given these other things. So I gave this up in 2020, a few months after I'd learned Django. So that's 2021. But in 2024, I started a hobby project that I discovered I could only do with Django. So for the project, I wanted to be analyzing stories. That meant I had a genre that I had picked out, and for this genre, I had certain hypotheses that I wanted to analyze for each story. So, say for example, if the genre was adventure, the way I wanted to analyze it was suppose we have a hypothesis that for every adventure story, the protagonist must be must begin the story in a state where their life is in some kind of stasis. I would analyze how all adventure stories that I knew of fit into that hypothesis or failed to do so. And to do that, I turned to Django. Uh, so I needed to build this fast because I'd given up Django and I just wanted to use it as a means to an end here. So during this project, I I sometimes I decided not to use the documentation because that was too far away. I would have to get out of my browser, look up the documentation, try to find the exact thing that I need. Uh, so I ended up inspecting the code in my code edit. I discovered I could inspect code that I didn't own. Uh, and that gave me my first inkling as to what open source means. The open source code was open for me or anyone to see. Always imagined that it's packaged in some sort of secretive format. So seeing Django's code was very inspiring because my own code at that time looked like spaghetti, and I wanted to understand like why that was and how I could improve my code. Um, about after the time that I had a working application, which by the way was in a little over a week, I started making improvements into my application, adding features and stuff like that when I discovered what I thought was a bug in Django, and I filed a ticket uh, which was accepted as a document clarification. I assigned myself the ticket. The assign to yourself button, the assign to yourself link was just there, and I decided to click it. I had no idea how to fix it, but uh, I wanted to learn more about the process. So I assigned myself and opened a pull request. So the the ticket itself, like the fix for this ticket was adding a very small sentence pointing out that now best fields if an empty string as a default, but we had 28 discussions on the pull request, which impressed me very much because I learned that we couldn't just it wouldn't just be merged because it was acceptable. Uh, those 28 discussions were reviewers and myself trying to get at the best possible solution that we could have, and well, that moved me. I decided after I got my first pull request merge, yeah, it is. I I decided to keep contributing to to get more and more involved in the contributing process, and so this is how I went about it. So I started with the process. Uh, Given I had limited experience with code, so this was the only thing that I knew at the time because I read the documentation and got a PR merged. So I'd go around looking for PRs opened by new contributors and try to guide them to follow the the guidelines to get the pull requests reviewed as fast as possible. My own PR had been reviewed quickly and it got merged very quickly, and I wanted others to have that experience as well. From there, I also started contributing to the documentation. I picked the documentation because to to document something, you have to understand fully the context of that documentation, how something functions. Sometimes you even have to go and read tests in Django's own test suite to understand what you're documenting. If the tests are missing, For example, one ticket, I was supposed to document something and I went into the test to understand how it works, and I discovered there were no tests for that. I also got to add them as well as part of the documentation pull request that I taken. And the next thing that I started doing is reviewing other people's pull requests. So what happened was because the Django is a large community and it has there are a lot of contributors, pull requests sometimes move off the shelf very quickly. Pull, there are always people claiming, I'm sorry, tickets. There are always people claiming tickets, and a ticket that you want to work on can be taken by someone else. So in those cases, I would still work on the ticket myself, but then the only way that I could contribute it to Django was by doing the documentation, reviewing the pull requests of that documentation change. Um, in addition to that, I would review documentation sections in pull requests that were not specifically documentation fixing documentation tickets, because that was an easy way to enter into those. And also during that time, I got to watch how the community does things, how experts think, uh, which was quite invaluable. It made me want to stay even more. Uh, I finally discovered, I had discovered those fellow travelers that I was looking for to master this. So I also started triaging tickets. This also ties back to reviewing other people's PRs because the reason I started doing this was for the same reasons. I started reviewing PRs. Sometimes there are no tickets to work on, and I think often it's better to like in the present in the with the current state of things where we have I think there's almost 100 open pull requests waiting for review now. If there's a ticket that I wanted to work on, I found it and it was already taken. I found it more profitable to review that ticket than to go and find tickets that are several years old. And sometimes I found it better to try new bugs, perhaps looking for opportunities to work on tickets that are not claimed. Uh, to do this, we have to, reproduce the reports, confirm bugs, and it also corrected my previous belief that that software is perfected from the initial point of deployment. So I learned with more bugs that I tried, I learned software is never finished. Like there's always room for more, there's always work to be done, which means it was a possible career choice. And I also, from sometimes I triage the bug and also, because you have when you reproduce it, you have to write tests. So that's one step closer to fixing it. Uh, the next thing is to write the fix, and that's how I started writing code. So about 9 months after starting starting contributing, I got an invitation to join the triage and review team. And oh, that was exciting because I didn't think that was possible. And also, I got to join a team with much more experienced contributors than myself, which was which was a great opportunity to continue learning and to get recognition for the work that I've been doing for purely personal reasons. My reasons being that I wanted to learn as much as possible to master to master Django. And for a bit more context, during that time, my day job had little in the way of intellectual or creative engagement. So storytelling and contributing to Django uh, provided the intellectual and the creative for me. So looking back at what this has given me, uh, the first is got to I got to have a clear path. It became possible for me to pursue mastery of the trade because now I had fellow travelers and working on Django itself gives confidence when you're building projects using Django. Also, I got to learn the best practices from the industry leaders, the people who build Django itself. And I can also say that I'm part of the people who build Django, which is awesome. The second is gave me a high standard to aim for. So whenever you open a pull request or do a review or triage a ticket, you always have to do your best work. Or if you fall short of that, someone will come and will come and help you to, move it forward, do it better. And the commitment to that culture of committing to finding the best possible way that we can do something is also something that I think is quite valuable, which I appreciate from is something that I gained from contributing. Uh, I also got the technical growth that I had no way of knowing how to get. Uh, I learned from every day from I learn new things every day from looking at pull requests and tickets. And the learning is it never stops. There's always something new to learn. And I got friends from the community, people around the world who care for the same things that I do, which is awesome. And the opportunity, the opportunity to the belonging in the community also provided me opportunities that previously I could not have imagined having. So previously, when I said why I gave up Django, you notice that I said there is no local demand for Django, but belonging in the community uh, made made me gave me the opportunity to access to access opportunities not just limited to my local industry, but also remote work and the like, which which also made this a viable career option for me. And recently, I started a new job uh, working on the Clearinghouse project, which is a University of Michigan academic project. I would never have been able to get that if it wasn't for this community. And and so in sharing this, I'm hoping that there's someone in the Djangonauts there that's also wanting to contribute. But I think the hardest part is that you're already here, and uh, that's awesome. Uh, the path from having your first pull request merge to being like a core member of a core contributor or a top contributor or being on the team or wherever you want to take this, it's much shorter than it looks before it happens. And you can always start where you're confident and you have to stay consistent and do the work, do your best work whenever you're contributing or reviewing tickets or whatever way you're contributing. And that's all from me. Thank you. Any questions?
I actually have one. Thank you, Clifford. That was really great. I really enjoyed that.
Mhm.
And it, uh, my question is, how did you learn to treat code review comments on pull requests as feedback on the pull request rather than you as a person? And so, like, I know me earlier on in my career, and like I've also heard this from other people starting out, they sometimes look at pull request feedback as comments on themselves or like judgments on their skills rather than improvements on the code. So like how did you navigate that and like learn to sort that out?
Okay, so I think that in my case, maybe it was different because I knew I had like no experience at all. Uh, I knew that I I was here to learn, and I assumed that everyone that I met knew more than I did. So if they made a comment, and if I think I did receive some comments that I took personal, but like I had accepted the fact that I don't know and that these people, the community has much more experienced people than I do. So it was easy for me to accept and keep coming back, even though sometimes the comments were difficult. But I would say in general, the people who contribute, who do reviews and comment on tickets and do try, they're also very kind, which makes it easy to accept. So does that answer your question?
It does. Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hi, Clifford. I have a question. Are you involved in any other open source projects?
Uh, no, just
Gotcha.
Django. But so after about, I think at the beginning of this year, that's when I decided sometime last year that starting this year, I would switch my career to being a Django developer. So I did look at a few open source projects that were built with Django instead of just working on the framework itself to gain experience on production projects. But so I had a few I had some pull requests merged to the Freelo project, and I also have some pull requests merged in Worktail. But I quickly got the job I was looking for now, and that has kept me busy for some time.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Excellent. I see James
Thank you.
has, oh, I'm sorry. James has his hand raised. I'm not sure if it's a question.
Yeah, like thank you, Clifford, for the talk and like the big congratulations for all of your shipment. My question is like, how did you navigate through really large code bases, like, especially if you are very new to the production background?
Okay, so the way that I did this is, like I said before, when I said before that I started with the documentation. So when I did documentation, I would always read the tests and read the surrounding documentation to familiarize myself with that particular area. When I moved on to writing code instead of just documentation, I picked uh I picked tickets that were related to the documentation that I'd done, or tickets that seemed small, or that seemed small in scope, that I figured I could like read the tests surrounding code and get some context to, understand them enough to fix them well. And in addition, I also my strategy was also to pick several different tickets. Like I would move from the ORM to the to the contrib applications. Like I tried to solve something from a different component of the framework every time, and that led me to getting to just be familiarizing myself, even if the ticket is more scoped, like having worked in a specific, in say the admin gives you confidence to look at a ticket in that particular area next time. So I would say small scoped tickets in the components that you want to work for and documentation and tests. Uh, those are the things that familiarized me with the code base. Don't know if that answers your question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great.
Mar?
Um, yeah, great talk, by the way. It was good hearing about your journey, inspiring. And I wanted to ask about being in the triage and review team, and how is that different from doing it outside the team, reviewing and triaging PRs? Because I keep hearing about this team, but I'm still not very sure what it consists of.
I'm sorry, you got muted for that last part.
Did you hear the? I was muted during the whole question, or just the last part?
The last part, when you
Okay.
were saying you
Just,
don't understand.
just wanted to know a little bit more about the triage and review team.
Okay, thank you. This is a team of recognized contributors who have worked on Django for who have worked on Django consistently, and in some cases, like for a a bit of time. Maybe that could be, for me, that was less than a year. So I would say a few months of consistent contributing qualifies you to join the team. Uh, as for the work that is done in the team, it's no different than what I was doing before I joined the team. But I guess what changes is now, as a member of the team, like any member of the team has permission, is the triage permissions on GitHub to approve a major pull request, which like is the new thing that's different from like from when I wasn't on the team. So often we get review requests from the mergers, which are the people who merge pull requests into the code base. Uh, since they can't merge their pull requests by their own approvals, the triage and review team, a member of the triage and review team approving a merger's pull request is sufficient for them to merge their pull request if it's small scoped. Uh, I guess that's the main difference. Yeah, that's the main difference. No, thank you.
Thank everyone for the questions, and thank you, Clifford, for your insightful and inspiring talk.